851, as temperatures drop, many people assume pest problems disappear for the winter, but experts say the colder months can actually be one of the most important times to protect your home. Rodents, they're mammals, right? They're looking to stay warm, and insects hide inside walls and basements. So now's the perfect time to go get them. Craig Sansig is the Vice President of Operations at Viking Pest Control. We don't think about this, Craig, but good morning. I'm glad you're on to talk about it. Why is winter actually a major reason for pest problems?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I
You
mean,
bet.
they're a lot like us. They want to stay warm when temperatures fall. So, they're taking advantage of gaps, cracks, crevices moving into your home. And a lot of times we think that something's just occasionally coming in when there may actually be large populations hidden from view.
How do we know? I mean, they would be hiding in the walls or under the home, right? So how do we know if they're there?
Usually, one of the big ways you can tell is what we'll see is when it does warm up, when we do hit those days that creep into the 50s, you start to see small amounts of activity, either stink bugs flying around, box elder bugs, ladybugs. These are all things that overwinter as adults, and a lot of times they're actually in attics under insulation. They get up through soffits, they get up into attic areas, and it's an area we don't often think about. It's usually where we hide our holiday decorations, and we really don't think pest issue.
And we forget, we're cozy inside a nice, warm, insulated house with walls, and we forget that those soffits are exposed to the outside on purpose, right? So that we have ventilation, but that means the bugs can get in, and then once they're in, they don't like to leave. They kind of like it here if you charge them rent. What are the most common pests that New Jersey homeowners see during the colder months?
Rodents are the predominant pest and probably the biggest concern due to the risks of things like fire and bringing in parasites and such into the home, and contamination of food and foodstuffs. But things like box elder bugs, stink bugs, ladybugs, cluster flies. That's a common one in many areas. They really can come in large numbers, and I've actually seen it so bad that people couldn't use rooms of their house due to some of these pest infestations.
Unreal. I remember I had rented a house many years ago, and in the basement they had carpeting. And I remember, and it was dry. There was no water or anything like that there. But I remember that we had these eeny, weeny, weeny, tiny beetles. I don't know if they were carpet beetles or flower beetles. When I tell you I tried everything on my own, I would vacuum every inch, every corner, every single day. We used boric acid. We tried everything. And then 2 days later, you'd see one of them crawling up the wall. They were like microscopic, these little tiny things. I noticed. Other people probably didn't. How do you get rid of something like that?
Well, really, that's the best time to call a professional because we have a larger selection of products that we could utilize, and there's ways that we could use their biology against them. We can actually give them something like a growth regulator or something that stops development of the juvenile stages. So, sometimes having that professional and that more application equipment, more treatment options is really what's needed to stop an issue.
And this is why you, sir, are the professional. You know this stuff clearly. And you folks are licensed to deal with these chemicals and things like that. So you know how to administer that stuff safely. You don't want to try to mess with this stuff on your own as a homeowner unless you're a licensed professional like yourself. What preventative steps can homeowners take though during the winter season? I mean, one of the things I know, I used to love to bake a lot, bake stuff with flour. If you're not going to use flour today, don't buy it. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, we absolutely any type of baking mix. You used half a box of pancake batter or a pancake mix. Those are the things you want to watch and discard routinely because they can become infested over time. Yeah, also, removing leaf litter from the outside of the house, especially as it accumulates underneath decks, that's a major source of warmth as those leaves decompose to keep pests safe. And if you have an area of safety for the pest along the foundation of your home, that can be problematic. Same thing with
Yeah.
wood piles. A lot of times people have wood piles against their home, and that's really not the best place to store firewood. And we always recommend that you only bring the firewood in that you need. What you're going to burn that day, because you could bring pest issues in unintentionally.
And even just getting back to the mixes and things like that, it's not. I had an aunt who said, "Well, I sealed it in plastic baggie and everything." the bugs are in there when you bought them in the store, right? The eggs are there and they just hatch. So you're bringing them in that mix. It just the bugs land on the wheat kernel. It survives the milling, and that's how
Mhm.
it gets in your house. So it's not that they flew in, but it is what it is. For those unfamiliar with Viking pest control, you have a different approach and a more effective one. Talk about that in our last minute here.
Well, I think a lot of companies try to attempt to control pest issues by applying the same template over every home. No two houses are the same, no two infestations are the same. And really, you need to do a root cause analysis and analyze that structure and figure out, hey, what do we need to do different to solve this pest issue? The other thing is, we're a larger company. We do have the support of entomologists. We do have the support of international experts, and we're able to help people that way. So, a lot of times, it's nice to deal with a small mom and pop, but they may not always have the resources that we may have.
Gotcha. And what's a website for more information, Craig?
VikingPest.com is a great place to reach us. That's VikingPest.com. Or you can reach us at phone number 1-800-618-BUGS, 2847.
I love it. Vice President of Operations at Viking Pest Control, Craig Sansig. Thanks for coming on. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays. Thank you for having me.